So before I dig into the HTML5 API, I want to ask you guys some questions. So why do you think that HTML5 is so special? I mean, everybody's just talking about it. They said, "Oh, I want it. I want to use it in my project." Why is it so special? What do you think? You?
Hello. Yeah, I think it's special because it provides a very convenient way for programmers to integrate JavaScript, CSS together with HTML5. It's very convenient for programming.
Yes, how about you? What do you think about HTML5? Why is it so special?
I think the move is towards mobile devices.
Mobile devices. Yes.
And then cross-platform such as iOS or maybe Windows 8 or say Android.
So cross-platform, right?
Yes, I think HTML5 is one for all somehow.
Yes.
It really is a very efficient way of doing apps development.
Yes, the right ones run everywhere, right? Our dream. Okay, now, in fact, what makes HTML5 so powerful and so special is the ability that HTML provides to our programmers to do all kinds of things that you cannot even imagine before HTML5. You can store data in the local browser, access file, detect users online, offline status, and do video chat, real-time messaging. All these stuffs are impossible before HTML5. And today I'm going to introduce you all these technology. And later you will see a lot of these API, a lot of codes, but the point is to feel how what HTML5 is capable of. You don't need to memorize anything above. You don't need to type the code with me. Just feel it. Try to understand how what HTML5 is capable of. Okay, and after each topics, you guys can ask questions, or during this process, if you have any questions, or if you don't understand my English, I'm sorry, then you can raise your hands and ask me questions anytime. Okay. Now let's get started. Now this is a picture created by Google, I guess. It sets the evolution of the web. As you can see, each of these lines represents a new technology, a web technology. As you can see, this is actually a timeline. So that part, that very concentrated part, is HTML5. All these are before HTML5. So you can see that actually the web is speeding up like crazy in HTML5. So new technology are emerging every day. And today, the first thing we are going to look at is called the web storage. Web storage provides the ability for our programmers to store data in the browser. For example, we have a web storage, we have a web circle, SQL, that's client-side SQL server, client SQL, and there's also something called an index DB, and we'll all introduce these to you. So, what's a web storage? Web storage is a key-value storage for the in browser. That means you want to store something to the browser. You just give him a key, which is a name, and then a value. The value will be a string, no matter what you're passing. And the best part of web storage is that the data you store inside will survive a browser restart. For example, you store some user settings into the web storage, and after that the user close the browser, close the tab, and then later restart the browser, reopen your tab, and then your data is still there. They won't lose. They're not going anywhere. They're still there. And before web storage, how are we going to store the, for example, user settings? For example, we are creating for example, a music website. I want to let the user choose. For example, I want to serve all the music. I want to serve them randomly, and I want to remember this setting for the user. So how am I do that? Before web storage, I can store this on a cookie. But cookie has a disadvantage is that every time you contact the server, you send a request to the server, this cookie is actually bring with the request to the server and then come back to the client. So this would add a overhead to your HTML request. If you save a lot of these things into your request will go very, very big. So that header would be very big because it contains a lot of cookies. Actually, the server doesn't even want to know these cookies. And it is your client setting, right? And the body would comparatively to be very small. So we really don't want to do that. And with web storage, we can save these data on the web storage. So after that, if we send some request to a server, this data will not bring to the server. So that would reduce the overhead of the HTTP request. So there's only really a few API that you need to know to use web storage. Yes, there's two types of web storage. One is called this one here. One is called the local storage. Local storage is just like what I said. It survives the browser restart. So every data you set into the local storage, it survives after you shut down your client browser. You restart your machine, no problem. After you reopen your tab, they're still there. Section storage is something different. The API is the same, but after your browser section is over, data will be cleared up. So there's a slight difference. But for storing data, we usually use local storage because actually section storage is not so useful to our project. So this is the API that you would like you need to know to use the web storage. There's a set item, and this one is going to store the data, which is the value to the web storage, and then the key would be the name of the storage. You're going to need that key to retrieve data, and which is using the second API, the get item. You call the get item function, give him a key, which is the name, and then the stored value will be returned. And also, you can remove an item. Just give it the key. The stored data will be removed. Or if you want to remove all of them, you will call the clear method. And if you want to know how many data you stored in it, how many key you have stored in the web storage, you will call the length. Okay. And this is the actual code, how it looks like if you storing data. Actually, if you want to save something to the local storage, it will be a reference to the local storage object. They could be a Windows prefix, but actually not necessary. So if you want to save something to the local storage, you simply say that set item or dot. For example, the key will be full, and then the value will be var, and the first and the second line is essentially the same. And if you want to retrieve something, also you can use this one, the get item, and also you can use the dot and then the key name. And because we previously here set the full value to var, so there is one item in the local storage. So if you check its length, it would return 1. And later, if you want to remove an item from the web storage, there are actually several ways you can delete it. You can call the remove item, or you can clear it all. And then after you remove the key, if you try to access this data again, it will return undefined, which means that this object simply doesn't exist. Again, you don't need to memorize all these codes, right? It's simple APIs, and if you need to read these codes in detail, I can give you the link. This one, you can visit this link. It's public. You can see more details. Okay. And there is a scope for each web storage. So the data you store with, for example, A.com will not be accessible from B.com. They're separate, they're safe, so that your data for your website is safe. No other website can access them. Again, just something to remember. And browser support, really good looking chart. Almost all modern browsers support this one, this web storage, so you are free to use it. It should be yeah, this is a little demo. So this is the JS video I introduced you yesterday. And basically this one is a little program that remember when I visited this website the last time. So I will store this time information in the local storage. So every time I visit this website, it will remember when I last visited it. Even I restart my machine, no problem. Okay. And it says that the last time I visited this website is on 9/14, and if I run it again, it will actually save my wrong time, right? Refresh. And it will save this time to the local storage, and maybe after this section, some hour later, you can come back to this website and see this data is still there, okay? And the next thing would be missed a point. Every data you store in the local storage, the web storage, can only be a string. No matter you pass in a number, a string, a date, it will be converted to a string. So, for example, if you want to store JSON data, you better stringify it before you put it into the local storage. And the local storage has a quota. Every browser will only give you about 5 megabytes storage, so that you can put your data in. And if you exceed that quota and keep saving data to the web storage, it would give you an error on the quota exceed exception, I guess. So if you get that error, that means that your quota is exceed. You need to delete something, or you just can't set anything else. Okay. The next thing about storage with web SQL, for any of you that is familiar with SQL, this would be a very good way to store complex data. It is a full SQL support. You can use all your SQL knowledge in it. Select, query, everything. And it supports transactions. So the API is also simple. You use the open database to open a local SQL database, and you create a transaction and put some execute SQL commands inside the transaction, and then it will execute for you. So this is how it looks like. So first, for example, we need to create a database called MyDB, and then give it a version. And this is a little description, and then this will be the size of the database. Here we are giving it 2 megabytes storage. And then, for example, we need to create a table. You can see that, and then insert some records, and then later on we will select those record back and then use these data. So you can see that all these commands are standard SQL code. You could understand it if you previously had some SQL knowledge. And however, this standard is actually not so accepted by the browsers. So not every one of them has implemented it, just maybe Chrome and Safari. And in fact, this is a deprecated standard. They don't maintain it anymore, because the complex of SQL itself, and just SQL storage is quite different from the ideas of JavaScript. You see, the JavaScript is actually maybe key value, everything's key value simple, but SQL and the tables structures is actually sometimes could get complicated, and the relationship of the tables could get complicated. So this standard is no longer we're working on for WCC. But luckily, there is something we can use to replace this one. I mean, I still want to store a little bit complicated data. Web storage doesn't quite meet my needs, right? So what I do is that we still have something called an indexed DB. Indexed DB is also, you save JavaScript objects to the indexed DB, but without an SQL. So you can store any kind of objects. Not string, not NoSQL. You can store any kind of objects to the IndexedDB, and it has a way for you to query, find the data in the database you want. You can later take a look at the actual code, something like this. We can open a database, use the IndexedDB open, and then we could check the version. And then there's something called the object store. You need to create the object store first to store object. Okay, the name is actually quite easy to understand, right? Should I move on? And then, after you create the object store, we need to open it to use it. So after we open the data store, we can put some data in it. So you can take a look at this. It's just a simple object, JavaScript object. You can put anything in it if you like. You can add more keys. And then later, if you want to retrieve a data you previously saved in the IndexedDB, you can use the two ways. You could create an index. This is quite like the SQL, but in JavaScript, right? You can query it with, for example, we will use the name as the index here. Oh, sorry. Yeah, remember we save the data. We have a name key here, right? So we will use the name as the index, and then we will try to get the record with a name called Oscar, which would be this data we set previously. Okay? Or you could query it. We could create a range. For example, I want to query the name from the name starting from H to Q, and then I would like to find all the object that meets this this query, and then I can find maybe an array of object, something like that. There's just two ways of retrieving your saved data. And browser support is also looking good because, for example, Firefox, Chrome, they've all implemented this one, and even IE10. Nice. So, any question about saving data to the browser?
Is there any quota limit Is there any quota limit for the IndexedDB?
Yes, I don't remember the exact one. So
is it larger than 5 bytes?
Here you should have I'm not exactly sure. You search it, but it's something like that. So even the standard set that, for example, I can give you 5 megabytes, but the browser maybe it don't follow the standard. Maybe it could give you 10 megabytes. So the best way to do that is check that how much can I still set data in it. If not, then I need to remove some old data. Actually, I done a project before, so we need to store some user preference to the browser, and the setting is quite a lot of data, and there might be multiple users saving data to this in the same browser. So the things that we do is that we keep a and a separate value in the web storage to keep track, to see which users set the data in what time, so that when we don't have any quota anymore, we could locate we could find the preference that is used the oldest, so that we can delete it, something like that. Okay.
So, okay, for this quota problem, will be the user, the client, be notified when the quota has been
Yes.
exceeding, so the user can actually increase the upload.
There is actually no way the user could authorize to give you more quota, but later you can take a look at the Philo API. There is a way for user to, you can ask the user, hey, I want more storage, please give me. So they will grant it or deny it. Okay, any more questions? Yeah? Okay. Then let's move on. So in the storage, we talk about web storage, which is a local, involves the local storage and section storage. And then we talk about web circle and then the index DB. So in the next topic, we will talk about offline. But the name is a little bit confusing. I mean, I'm a website. I'm supposed to be online. What are you talking about? An offline website. What is it used for? Why do I need a website to offline? Okay. The thing is that we put a website. This offline capability allows your website to work even without a network connection. So your file, previously, you put your file on a server and then you send requests to the server and then retrieve the document. So you always need a network connection to get all these files. But now, actually, I can download these, the browser can download all these files, cache it locally, different from the browser cache. It is called the application cache, which is the first point. So it could cache these files to your local machine. If you don't have a network connection, they could use these files. Or if you have a local cache version, they could use these files without asking your server to serve these files. So it would actually speed up your website a lot, especially for mobile. Because mobile network is tend to be unstable and have very big latency. So if you try to ask the server to give you a file, it would be very slow. But if your file is right in your device, you could just access it locally, just like reading a local file really fast. And another point is that we need to detect the user's online or offline status, so that we can notify the user, hey, you just lost your data connection, you just lost your network. Just something to notify the user could be some useful if you want to improve the user experience. So application cache is something that allows your web app or website to work offline. Like I said, it could reduce the network load because all your files is already cached in your local machine. You don't need to ask the server for it. And speed is a very, very important factor. In fact, that user doesn't allow latency. They just want your website to load faster. They want to type in the URL and then hit enter and then your website is just there. They don't want to wait. So if your file is already on his machine, so no problem. You can access it instantly. So take a look at app cache, how it works. So application cache require your website to list the file. What file do you want the browser to cache in the local system? So you need to add a attribute called manifest and then point it to your manifest file. It's a URL in the HTML tag. So when the browser loads this index HTML, it finds that, oh, you have a app cache there. Then the browser tries to read that app cache file, see what's inside, and then download the resources in the background. the user doesn't even know this process. And then it would silently download all this data in this app-catch manifest file. So when the user reload the website or visit it next time, it would find that, oh, I already have a local copy of this website. I can access it right there without asking the server. All right. Now you see a lot of these events down there. You don't need to care about it actually. So this is a simple manifest file. There's a catch manifest in the first line, and then some file, some URL path for the file you want to catch it in the local file system. For example, here we want to catch the index HTML, we want to catch the main.js, we catch CSS, we catch some pictures. So the browser, after reading this manifest file, it would fetch this file from your server and then save it to the browser. So that next time when you visit this website, it will say that, hey, I'm looking for main.js. I have a local copy. I don't ask the server. I just read from the local. Okay. And when this file is changed, this manifest file is changed, actually the browser will detect this file every time when you visit this website. And when they find that, oh, this file has changed, so it would read this file again, and then re-download all the resources. Yes, re-download all the resources again. And we can take a look at a more complicated. So, can you see this one? Oh, never mind. So, you can add more details in this manifest file. For example, I want to catch an index HTML and then maybe some JS, CSS, the same as the previous example. Or there's something I don't want to catch. For example, and I have a service, I have an API. I want the browser to ask my server every time, don't catch it. So I can list these URL here in the network section. So that when the browser sees this, they say, I don't catch this one. Okay? Every time you try to access this URL, I will ask the server. And there's also a fallback. Let me try again. Cannot read much. So anyway, one line is enough. So this fallback section is quite magical. It tells the browser when you cannot access a resource from the server, use the replacement. So for example, we have a main.py is a Python script on the server where the browser tries to access this file. But for example, the server has some downtime, so we spawn a 503.404 status code. And then the browser will say, oh, there's a fallback, there's a replacement. I can read from the status HTML to replace this request. So that it would read the content of the status HTML to replace the response as the main PY. So this is quite useful.
Control minus.
What?
Command minus.
What was it?
Command minus.
Command minus what?
Zoom out.
Sorry.
Zoom out.
Zoom out, okay.
And then you can see the bottom. Minus.
You mean control minus, right? Oh, right. Sorry. Actually, they're pretty same as the first line. And you can match, for example, for example, I have a bunch of image in this image large folder, but maybe the server just cannot serve these images, so I would use image offline.jpg to replace it. Okay, so there's 3 sections here. The catch section would ask the browser to catch all these files, and then there's a network section to tell the browser don't catch them, and then there's also a fallback section to tell the browser what the replacement is if I